Hey everyone, I I got a new mic. That does it. Does it sound good? Does it sound good? Welcome everyone to Below Average Film Student, here to give you another below average film review. Today I'm talking about Emma, a film inspired by the famous John Austen novel of the same name, and also a directorial debut for filmmaker Autumn D. Wilde. It also marks the end of the 4 Amazon Early Access movies I was planning to review to start this channel. So, congrats, we've made it this far. Don't worry though, I've got some other films planned. Stick around to see what's next. Emma is one of those films I had no real expectations for. I mean, I saw the trailers when it was first coming out, but wasn't really super interested aside from aspects like the cinematography and style. It really wasn't until the film was released and I saw the initial positive reviews that I actually became interested, which is unique because, well, do I look like the target demographic for this film? Do I look like I read Jane Austen? Weirdly enough, summarizing this film is surprisingly hard. It's not that the story is complex per se, but it's rather easy to undersell because of its simplicity. The film is, at its core, a romance. In fact, it's probably the exact kind of story you think of when you picture a Jane Austen novel. Emma is a high-end rich girl who lives in a small town. She has no interest in finding love of her own and instead decides to meddle in the affairs of others, namely her friend Harriet Smith, which comes to the distaste of George Knightley, who is the brother of her sister's husband. Oh, this is gonna be fun to keep track of. That said, there's also a lot more going on at the same time, like Harriet's uncertainty of how to live life as someone of high class, Miss Bates and her constant stories of her niece Jane Fairfax, and the mysterious gentleman Frank Churchill who everyone talks about but few have ever seen. Every one of these plot lines, which we're usually informed about over a nice conversation and a cup of tea, are actually fairly important to the movie, and they continue to develop alongside Emma and her focus on love. So it can really feel like you're just being thrown in there with all these names getting tossed around. And trust me, you want to learn the names or nothing will make sense. That said, if you can follow along, the film does a pretty good job of keeping you invested, and what follows is a surprisingly fun and emotional ride with a good amount of comedy. At its core though, this film is an incredibly basic romance, with a fairly predictable ending. I still won't spoil it though, just in case. But I don't think the film is as much about the ending itself and more about the journey to get there. It's more about the characters and their relationships and how they change over time rather than having a unique and hard-hitting ending. To pull something like this off though, you're going to need some good characters, and well, they're pretty good characters. While the characters themselves aren't that original, it's the writing and acting that managed to pull them off. Emma's smug and know-it-all attitude never gets too annoying, and watching her develop over the course of the film is surprisingly rewarding. Harriet has a lot of charm and is overall pretty likable. Knightley's a good voice of reason. Miss Bates is annoying, but you can't help but smile when she's on screen. And I could keep going, but then we'd be here for a bit. Mia Goth and Johnny Flynn are especially good, but Bill Nighy steals most of the scenes he's in as Emma's father with his wonderful facial expressions. On the top of the top though is the main girl herself, Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma. Emma is such an easy character to make unlikable and annoying, but I constantly found myself enjoying her at every turn. The facial expressions in this film already carry a majority of the jokes, but Anya's are especially good. They give you this perfect insight into what she's thinking and how she's reading what's happening around her. Her stoic tone is perfect for when she's giving her matter-of-fact assessments or descriptions, yet she's able to let enough emotion through to give more depth to her character. I really think this film shows how diverse actors can be, considering the 2 main leads of this film got their big breaks from horror films. And while all this stuff is well and good, the final aspect that really pulls the film together is the cinematography and style. The color scheme of this film is beautiful. It has a heavy focus on primary colors, especially yellow if you couldn't tell, but it never overwhelms you with them. It's balanced enough to highlight the important focuses of the shot without ever feeling too overwhelming or disgusting. We also get really nice tone changes and color swaps as the year progresses, like getting more bluish colors when winter comes along. It's a really nice form of progression that not only tells you how much time has passed, but also shows it and keeps the film interesting to the viewer. The cinematography is also quite wonderful. Most of the shots in this film are very still, really only using panning or tracking shots when people are moving or traveling somewhere, and even then it keeps the camera incredibly still, almost to the point of you not even noticing the movement. This is done because the film is always trying to keep your attention on the characters. It prioritizes the face the most because that's where the comedy and emotion of the film relies on. It wants you to look directly at the characters, really grasping a feel of how they are reacting emotionally. And it manages to do this without ever seeming dull or boring. Instead, it finds different angles and ways to view the characters without distracting from them. I think Wilde's directing here is on full display of how effective it is. She really nailed the movie visually, in my opinion. Here's where we enter the spoiler section, everyone. I really don't have that much to say spoiler-wise, so this might not be super long. For those of you who still don't want any part of your experience ruined, go to this timestamp to skip. Alright then. Like I said earlier, the ending of this film is extremely predictable. Emma obviously ended up with Knightley. I called that from the second I saw him walk into frame. That said, even if it was predictable, I really enjoyed watching their relationship develop. Knightley acts as the voice of reason for most of the film, often calling Emma out for her pretentiousness even when she's not listening. That said, even with how much the other gets on their nerves, at neither point do they feel like a bad relationship. They have a connection from the beginning of the film that you can see and that you really feel grows and develops as the movie progresses. The actual plot point that caught me off guard was when Harriet revealed that she also liked Knightley. Less that I wasn't expecting it, and more that it surprised me at how late into the film it occurs. The conflict of these two liking the same guy act as a final way to prove to Emma that she actually can't predict and fully understand those around her. A plot point that works in conjunction with her misreading the tone at a party and insulting Miss Bates, and also her distress at learning the other guy she was interested in, Frank Churchill, actually wanted to marry Jane Fairfax. God, these characters are so hard to keep track of. These specific plot developments act as the final hit to Emma, completely destroying her ego and bringing her back down to earth. They were obvious things that the viewer could predict, but to Emma they were so outlandish and unexpected. And that's what really makes them so effective in the third act. They're the accumulation of Emma's bad personality coming back to bite her and forcing her to make steps to correct the wrongs she's committed throughout the film. Of course, everything gets resolved, Emma rights all the wrongs, and everyone ends up having a happy ending. While it could be criticized for having such a positive outcome, considering it wouldn't be unjustified to punish Emma with the loss of valuable relationships because of the things she's done, the ending fits pretty well with the tone of the movie. A happy ending to a surprisingly happy movie, and a drink to seeing Emma's character arc done rather well. Emma is a fairly heartwarming movie. Story-wise, it's a very basic romance comedy that focuses on ego and pretentiousness without really making an unlikable character. Probably the most challenging aspect of this film watching it is remembering all the character names. While I would recommend this film, especially if you're looking for a good Jane Austen adaptation, the story is a little too basic for my taste. Yes, it's quite good and I respect it for its effectiveness, but it's still just a little too simple for me, nothing really deep or especially unique here. Nothing that'll push it over a 4 out of 5 stars in my eyes. Still easily one of the best films from 2020 I've seen. While I have yet to see it, I hear Little Women is often brought up alongside this one as being good adaptations of classic women's literature, so likely if you enjoyed that film, you'll probably enjoy Emma also. Sadly, I can't really recommend any other films because I don't watch a lot of Jane Austen or period piece dramas in general, so that's really all I can give you in the form of other similar movies. That said, thank you all for watching. I plan to continue reviewing 2020 releases, with next time being The Wretched by Drew and Brett Pierce? Yes, Drew and Brett Pierce. While I finished off the Amazon Early Access films, I do want to continue watching the ones I have access to, so please continue to give recommendations for other films I should check out from this year. And if anyone knows how to watch Swallow legally, please let me know. I really want to watch this movie, but have yet to find any service streaming it. Please, I really want to watch this movie. If you enjoyed this review, please give a like and subscribe. I'll leave my Twitter and Letterboxd in the description so you can see more of my bad film opinions. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.